Good morning to all of you. We are ready to start. Of course, last time we could not finish the topic called stress management. So there is some part left in that area. After we complete that, today our plan is to move to a new meditation called the 4-element meditation. So I'll teach you how to do that meditation and the logic behind that and what it will, what we can gain from that meditation. Then towards the end, we will have that small quiz of 10 minutes, this time 12 minutes, since some of you said the time restriction is there, I increased by a little more in time. Okay, so that is the plan today. Let us recap what we had been discussing about the stress. Right? We found that if our thoughts interfere with our bodily housekeeping system, what did we call it? The housekeeping system of the body, which monitor important variables and then take control action to correct if there is any imbalance between the normal values of the variable and what is detected. Right? That's the homeostasis system. Right? And that does a lot of housekeeping work in our body to make life easier for all of us. So it's our duty. It's our duty to maintain the homeostasis system of the body properly. And in return, it will give you good mental health and physical health. And then we discussed about those glands. We discussed about 4 subsystems, if you remember. We call them PNEI, that's psycho, neuro, endocrine, immune system. NEI were the subsystems. P is the psycho part, which represent the mind. Right? Then we were able to discuss about certain glands, some glands or some organs in that endocrine system. Right? There were many organs, and I was presenting few. Especially, I was presenting those glands that are related with the homeostasis system variables, especially the hormones. Those glands which produce hormones to make us active in a stress situation. Those we learned. And then we learned what are those hormones, what are their names, and what they do in our body, and what will happen if the stress hormones are not properly disposed of or purged out of the blood when they are not necessary. Of course, there is a certain thing called healthy tension or healthy stress that we are supposed to maintain, but if we overload our stress, then the stress hormone content could be high in the blood. That is one issue. The second issue we discussed is that if the hormones remain in the blood for a prolonged time, that is also damaging. So 2 issues. One is the amount of hormones in the blood. 2 is the duration that those hormones are present in the blood. Amount of hormones and the duration of presence. Those are the 2 issues we have to manage when we are managing the stress. Of course, those 2 are decided by how you feel in the mind, that psycho part. in the PNEI system, the psycho system decides to what extent the hormones have to be put into the blood, stress hormones, and how long they should remain in the blood. And those decisions are affected by our thoughts. And that is why we should have a managing technique, set of managing techniques to manage the stress situations that we face in our life. And no matter what, sooner or later, each one of us are going to face these situations, stress situations. So being prepared and knowing how to manage was very important. That's why we were discussing this topic. And how is it related to the mind? I think it's very clear. How is it related to the meditation? I still will have to give you some more ideas today. And out of the managing techniques, we group the managing techniques into these 4 groups. Alter the stressor, avoid the stressor. Those are the 2 belonging to you dealing with the external world in order to manage the stress. Other 2, accept and adapt. They belong to the category of managing techniques that does an internal adjustment to your mind. Internal adjustment to your mind. These 2, I think we discussed last time. I'll quickly highlight. And today, I have to cover these 2 areas. Okay? That's where the meditation also comes in. Okay, so that is a summary. Remember, we were studying this mind part, which consists of meanings given to different things, emotions, beliefs, self-image, instincts, habits, all that. And then interfacing the mind with the external world, we have these 3 subsystems operated through the input-output processor called the brain. This is last time stuff, right? We were looking at these 2. Let me go through that slide again. Change the situation slide. Either trying to alter the stressor or avoid the stressor. And then we have this feedback loop. And if the management technique you adapted seems to respond or seems to work, then through this feedback loop, continuous attempts will be made to reduce the stress, and feedback loop will settle in finally by taking the stress hormones out of the blood through the mental process here. However, we learned there are wrong methods of trying to avoid the stressor. That set of those wrong habits I highlighted last time. Maybe I will remind today also. You can ask any question if it comes to your mind through the chat or by voice, right? Remember, those unhealthy reactions to the stress or avoidance techniques are smoking, drinking, overeating, under-eating, too much of TV, withdrawing from friends, taking medications like sleeping drugs, sleeping too much, that habit of trying to postpone important things, and scheduling too much for a day, and very irritative most of the time. That means taking your stress on the others, blaming the others. So those were techniques some people adopt when they are stressed. Subconsciously, these things happen. And consciously, you must be aware of these things and avoid. Because although they may release the stress for a short time, once or twice, they become habits, and those bad habits can be even more damaging. Therefore, avoidance should be carefully done with proper methods. That's where we stopped last time. And this one today, we'll spend little time on this before moving to the new meditations. Well, here we don't try to change outside. We don't try to change outside. We try to induce change from inside, from within our mind. Within our mind. Therefore, you don't need permission from anyone. You don't need to deal with other people. It's all dealing with yourself. It's all adjusting the internal thought process. Directly targeting this area, the psychosystem, and doing certain corrections in this control system in such a way that you will get these three subsystems to take out the bad part of those hormones, stress hormones. Sooner you take the stress hormone level to the normal or take out unnecessary stress hormones, it's better. More they remain in the blood, more damage they can do to your homeostasis systems. Okay, so correction goes this way. And of course, feedback will be taken through the nervous endocrine immune systems back to the psychosystem in such a way that how does the psychosystem know that the stress management technique you adopted really works is that you start feeling good. You start feeling normal, feeling energetic. And that feeling is the feedback you get that your adapting method or accepting method has really worked. So more about this accepting and adapting. Our purpose is get the NEI subsystems first to drain the stress chemicals out of the blood when they are not needed. The moment that stressful situation is there, you know, these chemicals are there. They are present in the blood, and we want to take them out as soon as possible. If they try to remain in the, if their quantities are high, and also if they try to remain over too long periods. Okay, lot of repairs will be done then. The repair to the immune system is also, I highlighted this because especially in these days, people are required to maintain their immune system well, isn't it? Because of the pandemic. So this repair of the immune system is very important. And you can use external medicine, of course, so to some extent, but you can do this internal medicine as well to repair the immune system from the damage done by stress hormones. Well, what we do is internal adjustment. We change the way we perceive. We change the way we perceive the stressor. We perceive the world. the way we look at the world, way we perceive the world, we change a little bit, small adjustment, and that will really change our attitude towards the stressor. And as a result, some normalizing happens in the homeostasis system or PNEI system. And it all depends on your ability to do this. That is, we know our mind is going thought after thought, isn't it? Thoughts come and then the mind will move to another thought likewise. So it's a cycle. It's a cycle happening continuously, isn't it? Very fast also. And thoughts appear and disappear. And this ability of injecting a new thought into that loop is very important for these two techniques we are going to discuss. Right? And sometimes that ability, of course, it varies from one person to another person. Ability to force a new thought into a running cycle of thoughts. Of course, it can be developed. Some have it naturally. All of us have it to varying degree. We are not same there. But with little training, it can be done. Anyone can learn how to force a new thought into the thought process. New thought in the sense, useful thought, which is reducing the stress, right? Okay, in order to accept the stressor, what kind of thoughts are good? Accepting the stressor means whatever the reason that, whatever the cause that generated stress in your mind. And we make our mind in such a way that, so it's okay, that situation is normal, it's okay. That kind of attitude we want to get. So one way is to think of the impermanence, the law of nature, where you can change whatever the stressors, they are going to change. Stressors are not permanent. No stressor remains permanently. Therefore, for the stressor, you can think of this rule, because the mind tends to assume that this stressor will be there over a prolonged period of time. But that cycle of thinking you can break by thinking that even the stressor, even these causes which make the stress is not permanent. It's also going to change. It's also impermanent. And also another way is that you think like this: change is inevitable in nature. Every natural thing is changing. So consider change as nature, part of nature, and accept, okay, stressor is also part of that. That will help us to think that these stressors are natural phenomena. They are not abnormal. They are supposed to come from time to time. It's not an abnormality. And also think of the stressor as an eye-opener. Eye-opener means the stressor can lead the life maybe to more success. If you manage it properly, it might create opportunities for development. Or it might give me more insights about life. more insight about how the nature works. So that is like thinking of the stressor is a way of the nature giving you messages to open your eyes and see. Another thought you can inject here. So you think it has more positives, Although it looks like a negative thing immediately, they think that this also may have positives. Okay, so those are the certain thoughts that you can inject here into the thought process. Stressful thought process is happening. While it is happening, suddenly you inject a new thought, one of these thoughts, you can inject into the loop and see what happens. Right? If you inject it forcefully enough, right? If a person is forceful enough to do it, then of course this cycle, vicious cycle that is causing the stress can be broken or can be discontinued. And this new one will make a change. Of course, it may run for a certain time, and after that, you find condition is alleviated. So these are the thinking or the thoughts you can induce in order to accept the situation. Okay, then adapt is going little further than accepting. Of course, in order to adapt, first you have to accept. So accepting is also part of adapting, but adapting is a more stronger technique than just accepting the stressor. There, you think that, okay, I'm going to grab this opportunity. So stress situation is considered as an opportunity for development. Which is a special thought because it's not easy. It's not easy because the stressor or stress looks like attacking you like an enemy, and you feel that you feel the situation as an enemy now. But rather than avoiding the enemy, you can have this technique, considering it as a new opportunity for learning or insight or development. This is going to present me new opportunity. Sometime back, our Chancellor, Dr. Arthur C. Clarke, had a life motto. He told us that his life motto was avoid the inevitable. Avoid the inevitable. Inevitable is something which is going to happen, part of nature. Okay. Then those inevitable things you try to avoid. It is the other stress handling method, isn't it? Accept and adapt is one, but avoiding belong to the other category of stress management. But sometime later, when I met him, when he visited our department one day, in a short speech, he told us, I have changed my life motto. I have changed my life motto, and he told us the new one. He told us that his new life motto is exploit the inevitable. Exploit the inevitable. So he changed. And what does that mean actually? If any inevitable is going to cause problems in your mind, try to exploit it rather than avoid. That means grab it as an opportunity. So it's exactly this thing he has mentioned actually. So he carried that life motto all the time after that, I remember. Then, so in honor of him, I put that exact sentence here, what he told us that day. Try to exploit anything that looks inevitable. These stressors, they are inevitable, part of life. They will be there, whether we like it or not. So seeing them as opportunities and having methods or planning methods to exploit it for your benefit or for your development is a special ability that you can develop in your mind with little training. Of course, from each stressor, do a little training on this with awareness, then you can develop that. Okay, then another option is, okay, with the stressor, you decide I'm going to adapt a new lifestyle. It's giving me the opportunity to adapt to a new lifestyle. Immediately, the new lifestyle seems to be disastrous, but you can see how to exploit that chance to make a good new lifestyle. When adapting initially, being humble and being simple is very important. Being conservative is very important with the stressors. Don't try to do too much because stressor is forceful normally. Okay? So we don't go head on against that. We rather than accept it and try to adapt it in such a way that we change into a new level. And that new level is going to be better. That's the way to think in adapting. So the new idea that you force into the mind is here. New ideas are one of these. Right? Okay. So you can suddenly think, I'm going to exploit this opportunity. It's giving me a chance to change for better. So rather than just accepting is the first step. This is, you can see, one step ahead, one step beyond just acceptance, right? Or mere acceptance. Okay, then this stress management, all stress management techniques people have adopted is there as a summary here, right? So that just have a look. You have time management techniques, nature, yoga, meditation, hobbies, exercise, spa, and therapy. They are mental health management techniques. Mental health management techniques in summary. Each one of these circles represent a big area, of course. For example, if you consider music, there are relaxation music. Various relaxation music in the internet you can download, for example. And you can have a practice to listen to them when your mind seems to be stressed. That's one therapy which has been developed over a long time now. There is a science behind it. Time management, lot of techniques are there. More simple technique is taking breaks, at least short breaks. During the break, think of something very different than what you have been thinking earlier, because you want to reset the stress hormone levels in the blood. Stress hormone levels in the blood will be reduced by taking breaks in between rather than accumulating. Right? So another time management technique is when you prepare your to-do list, what you have to do today, not overcrowding it with a lot of work. Allowing gaps between tasks is another technique. Sometimes due to our enthusiasm, we want to achieve too much in a day, and we try to fill every minute of the day with useful work rather than allocating time to idle little bit or having a break little bit. We forget. That's because we may be too ambitious to achieve. Or especially stressful people try to fill the whole thing day with lots of activities. That's also taking out stress. And because you think if you can achieve a lot today, tomorrow would be better. It may not be. It may be the other way around. Trying to do too much today will make tomorrow worse because your mental health may be affected by tomorrow. Therefore, scheduling breaks and also not filling up every minute of your to-do list with activities are important time management techniques, because that leads to, that gives enough time for the PNEI system to adapt and remove the stress chemicals out of the blood. Exercises, another popular method, physical exercises, I mean, being active, like walking, going for a walk and doing physical exercises every day. Some people do it in a schedule. That's another way stress hormones can be purged or removed from the blood. But during the exercises, you must focus on exercise, present moment, rather than thinking of the stressor even during that time. Some people do it that way. Even during exercise time, they think of the stressor, that situation, that's bad. So physical activities, games, they are also very good stress removal tools that you can add into your schedule. Then music, another very popular way. There are relaxation music. A lot of different varieties are there in the internet. If you search, you can choose which one, which variety gives you the most relaxed feeling. And again, the present moment awareness while listening to music is important to have good results in this way. So taking a break and listening to music is good. Some people schedule listening to music in their daily routines. Okay, during this time, I'm going to use some music to relax. Another technique you can consider. Maybe you are already doing this, right? But I'm just summarizing. And I want to highlight that each of these have certain theories behind them, and enough literature on each one is now available if you search the net. So make use of those and get the most fitting blend of activities or blend of solutions out of these into your life. Some engineering students have no hobbies at all, right, when you talk to them. Right? But having a hobby is also good, right? And should be a relaxing hobby, of course. Because even the researchers have found that when people are in a hobby activity, again the mind is, that psycho system is pulling out giving the commands to pull out the stress hormones from the blood. So engaging a stressed person in a hobby activity is good for the person. Another very effective technique is working with the nature. Like going for a walk, if you have natural surroundings, trees and birds singing, all that. Or if you have a small area, confined to a small area, like in these days, growing plants, watching them grow every day, taking care of them. Of course, they seem to be little activities, but they do a lot in normalizing our homeostasis system through the PNEI procedure. Then about this spa, Western world, it's very popular. In Sri Lanka, it's being promoted now. So another way to relax. Of course, you need money. Right? Depart from certain money to have this relaxation method. Therapy is another one very popular in Western world. That means you have counselors or therapists, and you call them and you get an appointment and you go and meet them and just open out and have a discussion session. And that also release the mind from stress. But that also is expensive in those countries. In Sri Lanka, this is coming up. So when people in the society get more and more stressed, these stress management techniques also become new businesses. And such businesses are opening up in the society, you can see. Well, what I really wanted to highlight are these two, yoga and meditation. Very inexpensive, and usually you do it with yourself, and cost no money, and very effective, most effective, of course. Right? Yoga combines this physical activity with the mental activity. So if you would like to do combine the two and find a solution, you have yoga techniques. In meditation, physical activity is not highlighted. Other than walking meditation, physical activities are not very much highlighted. But of course, you saw two meditations in the mindfulness meditation options. One is bodily activities, other is walking. Okay. Those two are always there, but not like yoga, not to that extent. Right? This is more focused in our thought process. You already know that because you have covered certain amount of meditation theory now. And of course, it is the cheapest. You don't need any equipment or any particular complicated places to do it. Right, so I just highlighted all options you have now. And all these options, what are they doing? They are making our psycho subsystem in the PNEI feel that there is no need to worry, that there is no need to be stressful. So it's okay, things are okay. And when you feel like that, automatically the commands will go to the body to normalize the homeostasis variables to its original normal values. That's the summary of what all these techniques are. I'll highlight this one now a little bit on the meditation, because that is the key area we are discussing here, right? In that we know the summary is that we use this rule of the mind that I presented earlier. The rule is that if a particular set of thoughts are repeatedly engaged and more frequently used within the mind and the mental thought process will slowly bend towards it and becomes a habit. Notice the duality. Duality is that if a bad thought is repeated like this, it will be stress, depression kind of situations. If a good thought is repeated like this, it will be relaxation first and insight next. And you can even go to absorption levels with insight. All those benefits are there. So that is a duality. The same rule could be used for good or could be used for bad. Right? When it is misused, then stress, depression kind of situations will come. When the same rule is used for the betterment, of course, it will give you a lot of internal happiness, inner happiness. This we learned. We are using the internal mental loop by injecting a meditation thought and repeatedly saying it to yourself, and get the mind engaged in a very fruitful self-talk, and stress chemicals will be drained out of the blood. It's totally an inside job. You don't want anything from outside to change. Stressor can remain as it is. This is totally inside job. Dealing between your mind and the body. But word of caution, use a proper meditation technique in an effective way. That is very important, because meditation, understanding of the theory behind it is very important rather than just trying. And that's why we have these quizzes, proper understanding should be there. Otherwise, meditation can lead to certain problems without, remember this rule? Particular set of thoughts are repeatedly engaged and frequently used, mind will bend towards. Suppose the meditation thoughts you are using and the way you are doing is not correct, then that becomes a habit. A wrong way of doing the meditation becomes a habit, and that also can lead you to wrong insights, and later the life could be even miserable. Therefore, meditation should be done with proper advice. Mental health is a big area coming up today. It's actually broader than the absence of any mental illness. We know when a person is mentally ill, he is sick, mentally sick. But mental health is not addressing only that issue, it's broader. It's defined as a state of well-being. Mental health is a state of well-being, and it's connected to the physical health and behavior as well. This is well-being, state of well-being of the mind as well as the body. If the body has physical well-being, you may call it physical health, but it's highly tied up with the mental health. So today doctors promote mental health because they say it will enhance happiness, self-esteem. These are the advantages of maintaining good mental health. Ability to control or ability to enjoy your life, supportive relationships, emotional resilience, leading to physical well-being as well, and improving productivity. This is what some employers are targeting. Today, many employers provide facilities like gym and also sports, and those activities which I showed you in a circle. Most employees today give opportunities to their employees to do all that. Right? That is because they are targeting more productivity from people. Of course, that's a different commercial objective that may be, but why wait for the employer to do all that, right? Because it's you who are in control, so you can adapt all that. Of course, if employer supports, it's really good, but whether support is coming from outside or not, don't worry, right? Because this meditation kind of techniques you can do on your own, right? So with the stress management, that's all we are going to discuss. We will have the break here. After the break, I will introduce the new meditation to you. Please make use of these stress management techniques daily in case stress is trying to take over you.